So, Chris,
Oh, yeah.
please tell us about Wendy Roo, first of all, about your wonderful tour company, and then we'll go through exactly about more about the information about this particular incredible hosted tour.
I mean, Wendy Roo Tours, we are the UK's #1 Asia specialist. And we don't take that lightly. You know, we've been going in business for the last 28 years now. Wendy Wu is a real person. She's not a pseudo name or anything like that. So Wendy started the business 28 years ago over in Australia, believe it or not. So she started off in China, born in Tibet. And she kind of always wanted to do travel, but she never really was allowed to. From a strict Chinese family, she had to make sure she was going into the sciences. Why Wendy Wu? Obviously, there's lots of different companies you can choose for. So why Wendy Wu? Wendy Wu, we're one of the only companies that are fully inclusive. So like Darryl has already said, everything, when I say everything is included, it practically is everything. So looking at all those inclusions, all your guiding fees, all your entrance fees. So that means all your temples, your shrines, all included. You don't have to worry about little things like that. And this is where costs add up on other tours, where you have to pay for like entrance fees and things like that. Now, also, you've got all your meals. Big one that Darryl said there. So all your meals are included. So breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Now, breakfasts are generally served in your hotels because it's easier just to have breakfast in the hotel before we go out. But lunches and dinners, Wendy's very much about making sure that you still eat authentic. So you eat like one of the locals. So we do take you to restaurants, local restaurants that have been sourced. So you get to eat the authentic food. Now, in places like Vietnam and Cambodia, China, Japan, you know, just because something looks like a chicken and it smells like a chicken doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a chicken. So this is why it's so good to have your guides on hand. And like Darryl's already mentioned, all of our guides are local to the destination. Two of these reasons for first one is that, you know, if you've got a guide from a destination, they know exactly what's going on the ground. They've lived it, they've experienced it, and who better to give you their information than someone's actually gone through everything they're talking about. And secondly, they've chosen this profession because they love their country that much. They want to show it off. Yeah. So why would you not want someone who's that passionate about their country to show it off? Now, we do put a lot of emphasis on our guides because we know they make or break a touring holiday. Now, one of the key things for us is all of our guides have got a minimum of 5 years experience. We don't take on anyone less than that. They're all fluent in English. I always say if they can tell a joke in English, they've got pretty good grasp of the language. So that's a key thing for us as well. So they're just kind of a few of the little things. We also include all the visas. So if you need a visa for the destination, we include it, and you know, we actually take care of the visa for you. So that's a big thing. That's a big worry that a lot of people have when you go into a destination. If the visa's been filled out correctly, am I going to get turned away at the airport? I know for me, whenever I travel, if I've got to get a visa, I'm always panicking, thinking, have I done it right, just in case? So we take the pressure off of that. On average, our customers spend probably 10 euros a day, 10, 15 euros a day. And that's literally just on souvenirs and drinks.
Wow.
Obviously, if you drink a little bit more, then obviously it might be a little bit more expensive, but on average, about 10 euros. So like I say, everything's included, which is key for us as a tour operator.
Which is amazing. And what we do, if you're just joining us, we're going to go through, this is the incredible itinerary that Chris is talking about. This is the wonderful map that shows you.
And also what I love about these tours is for people who want to do these bucket list places like Vietnam is actually safety in numbers. You're traveling with a like-minded group. You're having local guides. And yet again, just using my experience recently, when I went away, my local guide was, or my tour manager was from the area. And like you say, the passion for their country was spectacular. So like you say, if you're getting the same experience that I had or better, then you know you're going to have one hell of a holiday.
Yeah. And I noticed, Chris, it says physical rating 1, walking some steps on time on your feet. Can you explain that, please, Chris?
Yeah, so physical rating. So basically what we try and say, if physical rating of 1, it means as long as you can get up in the morning, touch your toes and tie your shoelaces, you should be absolutely fine for this tour. So Pete, you're all good.
I'm good to go.
You're absolutely.
I played football last night, so I'm not sure I would. I quite get on there.
This is an example of some of the potential hotels that you do as well, Chris, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the hotels we do use a whole range of hotels, but one of the key things about the hotels we use, they're all handpicked to ensure that they're in amazing locations. Some people say, why do we only use 4-star and not 5-star and things like that? And it is due down to location. it is a case of when you come out of your hotel, you're in the heart of everywhere. You can make your way out and you can go off and do things. We could start picking 5-star hotels, putting you in the middle of nowhere, but you could be anywhere in the world then. So we want to make sure that we as Darryl said, attention to detail is huge for us. We want to make sure that every kind of eventuality we've thought of to make it as easy and stress-free as possible for your customers. So yeah, but the hotels all have a very, very good standard throughout. I mean, there's hotels I've stayed in before, which are even 3-star hotels, for example, and people kind of wonder why. But I mean, I've been in hotels where a robot has brought my room service to my room on a 3-star. So, you know, it just goes to show, it might just mean it's not a facility like a spa or something like that. But if you're on a touring holiday, you're not there to use the spa. You're there to enjoy the destination.
I mean, this is the experiences that we're talking about, potentially the experiences. We're going to go to day-by-day information, so you can go through that. And again, talk highlights, Saigon, Hue, Hanoi, Halong Bay. So, Chris, please talk us through the daily ones, basically.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, the first day we fly into Saigon, depending on what time your flight is, you arrive. You may get some time in the afternoon just to relax and chill out. I generally would say, depending on what date the tours are going, you may want to add a pre-night on just to give yourself that little bit of time to get over the jet lag before the tour starts. But again, that is a personal choice. Obviously, Passion for Cruises can sort it out for you as well. And if, like I say, if you are flying out a little bit before, our guides will still meet you. So don't worry that you're going to get there the day before and you're not going to be met by anyone. Our guides will certainly still meet you. And that applies obviously also to if you stay on at the end. But yeah, so you do get some free time on that first day, depending on what time you arrive.
Great opportunity to do that. I really like that idea.
Yeah, and just before you move on, that's a really good point that Chris has just made. Sorry, Peter and Chris. So with Wendy Woo, one of the things we get asked a lot is, can I extend my holiday pre or post stay? A lot of the companies we work with is pretty much a computer says no. Wendy Woo, we can do that. So just bear that in mind. Anybody who thinks, actually, I love the look of this tour, but I want to stay a bit longer at the end, or vice versa, I want to get out there at a bit earlier at the beginning, then please do give us a shout, because we can get those costings.
And just add on to that as well, Darryl, you can also do stopovers. So, for example, it's quite a long flight over to Vietnam. So you could potentially do, if you were to fly with someone like Singapore, you can do a stopover in Singapore. The stop actually costs you no more. Obviously, the hotels when you're there do, but the stop itself, you can stop over, jump off for a couple of days if you want to do a bit of exploring, and then carry on with your flight on a couple of days later, and vice versa. You can do it on the way back as well.
Day 3.
Oh yeah, so day 3. So yeah, so you get to spend a day in Saigon. Now Saigon is a very, very cool, the old Ho Chi Minh, very, very cool city. You've got there's about 5 or 6 parts to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh, however you want to call it. You've got the old quarter, the new quarter. You've got the financial district where you'll find the Sky Deck, which is one of the tallest building in Vietnam. Very kind of certain parts of it, very, very busy. Super, super busy. Now, if you've seen kind of the bikes, you've probably seen videos on YouTube, or if you've actually been there, you'll see the bike. The roads are the busiest roads I've ever seen. And now in Ho Chi Minh, they say you just walk out in the middle of the road. And I'm kind of like a bit skeptical about that. But apparently, you when you do, you just kind of step across the road and the bikes just kind of swerve around you. But you just have to keep walking. You can't stop because then the bikes won't know where you're going. If you just keep walking, all the bikes just go around. It's the most unbelievable thing. The best way I can describe kind of Ho Chi Minh City, the roads there, if you were to, on the old TVs, do you remember when you used to get a bad channel and it'd be black and white, just scrambling all over? Yes, that's what I can look, bird's eye view. That's what the roads look like in Ho Chi Minh. That's the best way I can describe it.
Organized chaos.
Chris,
organized chaos. Absolutely.
Yeah. I remember black and white TV, Chris. So
I won't go back that far, but you know, I can remember when you used to have to change a channel with you have to go and actually change a channel. You use a stick to hit the button on the TV rather than actually a remote control.
Yeah, and you're holding the aerial. Yeah, we've all done that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've all done that. Yeah.
But yeah, Saigon, fantastic place, full of history. When we're there, you are going to see the War Remnants Museum. It's had 3 different names in the past. The first 2 names weren't so great, but now it's called the War Remnants Museum, and it will take you through kind of all the different tanks, planes, weaponry, the way the Viet Cong kind of fought is actually a very, very interesting museum to go and see. Even if you're not really interested in kind of the war and war machines, it is really, really cool to go and actually see it.
Sorry, Chris, one of our
No, go on,
customers
Darryl.
just come back from there, and they were telling me about the war memorial, and they actually said that obviously growing up in the Western world, all we've ever heard is about the Vietnam War from the American side. We've never actually seen it from their side. And she said that was a bit that literally blew her mind.
We also go to the Coochie tunnels, which are phenomenal. Now, if you are claustrophobic, this is not a place I would recommend you go into. They have opened them up a little bit more, but they are still quite tight. But you do get the option to kind of go through the tunnel and see what it was actually like. Now, I'm a bit of a wider lad, so I kind of looked at the gap and I was like, don't think I'm going to jump down there, because the last thing I want to do is be on the front of a travel magazine. BDM from Wendy Woo gets stuck in hole would be the caption I can imagine on the front. But they have opened it up so you can see exactly what goes on in the Coochie tunnels. And it is so fascinating. And it really does talk about guerrilla warfare. It can be quite graphic, certain parts of it. Day 4, we head over to the Mekong Delta. So what we do is on this day, we go, we go to Ban Tre. Hopefully I'm saying that right. I kind of get it wrong. Ben Tre. So Ben Tre is a lovely little place where you're going to see lots of farming towns. So it's a farming town. You'll get to taste some of the fruits. You get to taste some of the local honeys, but then you'll basically then go down the Mekong, so on the little power boats. But as you're going down there, you've got all the water lilies on as you're going through. You've got all the palm reeds going up, and it's just a very tranquil journey through on the Mekong Delta. They call it the Rice Bowl of Vietnam, and they reckon a lot of the produce from there is enough to feed the rest of the country. So it's absolutely impressive. It's so impressive.
Absolutely stunning. And day 5 is historic Hoi An.
So Hoi An is like stepping back in time. So Hoi An is pretty much untouched by tourism. When you're going through there, you've got all the little lanterns going over. Hoi An is great for souvenir shopping. So if you've got souvenirs you need to buy, this is the place to go and get them. It is one tip for yourselves when your customers are there, or when you decide to go in Hoi An in the evening, they have like a lantern festival every night. So go down to the canal and you can see all the lanterns lit up as you're going through.
Wow.
100% recommend. Really, really good. And like I say, because it's a UNESCO heritage site as well, it's untouched by tourism. It's one of the old ports moving up into where we go next, which is Hoi An Da Nang.
Yeah. So wow. So day 6, Chris.
So day 6, so we go day 6 and kind of going into 7. So also in Trang Quay, you're going to go to the vegetable gardens. So this is like one of the key areas for farming in Vietnam. So we're going to take it with us. We'll go to the farms. We'll get to see how the farming is done and how the food kind of goes from farm to plate. You'll get to experience picking some of that farming goods. And also then get to do a cooking demonstration. So using the produce that we've picked, and the secret, which they will tell you, to why there's such a good growth over there, is because they have this seaweed that fertilizes the ground, and it all comes from the local lagoons.
Wow. That's incredible. And day 6 goes into day 7. You were talking about
day 6, day 6, 7. So you got Hue. Now this is kind of the old city. So you've got the Forbidden City, the Purple City, which is an architectural marvel. It's beautiful, it's stunning. So it's very much going back in time, and that's what it's like when you're walking around. You've got the Imperial Citadel, and then you've got the Thien. I think it's called the Thien Mu Pagoda. I apologize if I've murdered that word, but it's the Thien Mu Pagoda, which dates back to kind of, I think, 1500s.
Wow.
So again, you can see there's so much history in Hue, and obviously you go through Da Nang when you go into that area. Now Da Nang is the old fishing port, and again, it's all on stilts. It's very, very much untouched by tourism. So going back again in time. So if you imagine kind of Vietnam as Thailand, it's like 10-15 years ago. Wow. So it's still kind of built its way. But yeah, Hue An and Da Nang are 3 kind of key places, and a lot of tours don't actually go there as well, so it's good to see them that we go there.
Fantastic. And talking of history, you're talking about the royal tombs on day 8, and you fly to Hanoi.
Yeah, so we go into Hanoi, you get to see the Royal Tombs, Presidential Palace, you go into Barding Square. Now, again, it's a little bit quieter here than it was over in Ho Chi Minh, but you still get all the hustle and bustle that you would expect from anywhere in Vietnam. Now, when you're in Hanoi as well, you get to go on a cyclo tour. So if you've ever seen the rickshaws in London, that's exactly what you're going to be going on. So you get to spend a day exploring. So this is where you get to relax and let someone else kind of take you around the city. You also then get to try the traditional egg coffee. Egg coffee in Vietnam is basically like a real frothy coffee made with egg whites, but then just to top it off, they put a load of rum in it as well. So
sounds terrible.
Do you know what? It sounds awful, but it's actually quite nice. I didn't think I'd like it. It's actually the egg whites make it really, really creamy, and they froth it all up. So it's a bit like eggnog. So if you don't like eggnog,
that's what I was thinking.
You're not going to like. You won't really like the egg coffee. But yeah, it's different. Let's say that. There are a couple of places in London actually you can get it. So if you're in London, I'll take you to an egg coffee place.
Egg
like that.
So you can try it.
I'm in at this time in the morning.
Egg coffee.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Exactly.
With a touch of rum, Chris. Yeah.
When I say a touch of rum, it's like we were saying earlier about in Gran Canaria when they kind of just put a little drop of rum and it's like that much rum and about that much mixer.
Hand pouring, basically. Yeah. So absolutely fantastic. And explore Hanoi. Yeah.
And then exploring Hanoi, yeah. So that's kind of how we're doing it all on. I mean, like I say, you've got the pagoda, so one pillar pagoda. You get to see the humble house on stilts. So it's stepping back in time, very, very different to anywhere else you'll go in the world.
Fantastic, amazing. That egg coffee sounds amazing. Day 10,
and then this is the pinnacle of any tour to Vietnam wouldn't be a tour unless you go to Ha Long Bay. Now, Ha Long Bay is a group of islands, but everyone sees, when you look at these photos, everyone kind of sees this cluster of five islands and they think that's it. Ha Long Bay is actually a cluster of 1,200 islands. So there are hundreds and hundreds of islands in Ha Long Bay. So when we take you there, we're going to take you to lots of different islands along the way. You're going to stop off at beach. There's a few beaches that we stop off at, a couple of viewpoints you get to see. So Ha Long Bay is a very, very different place than just actually what you see from those 5 kind of pictures. Now, the ship we use, very, very, it's a beautiful ship. The food on board is fantastic, very, very fresh. And it's just a really relaxing tour on Ha Long Bay. I can't stress. I mean, we look at these pictures, and I'm sure Darryl will agree with me here.
Yeah, stunning.
The pictures, some of these places we go into the world just can't be put into words in a picture. It's just Ha Long Bay is something else. The pictures look fantastic, but once you're there, it's out of this world. It really, really is.
It looks unbelievably stunning. And then the rise early in the morning for a beautiful sunrise over the bay. Then return to Hanoi after brunch on deck and enjoy the afternoon at leisure. And then, of course, the sad thing, of course, is that you do get to day 12.
And then we have to fly home, unfortunately.
But
what I will say, when you're on Ha Long Bay as well, we've got on board, they usually have yoga classes. So you can take part in a yoga class on board. And a lot of people, when you're on Ha Long Bay, there's seats all the way along the top. So most people spend most of the evening just sitting on board up deck, just having a drink. There's a lovely little bar on there. So having a drink, watching the sunset on Ha Long Bay is just, again, unbelievable. And then the sunrise the following morning. And then you have and then when you get back to the land, you have a Tai Chi class as well. So you get to actually experience a real Tai Chi class.
You're going to give it all that.
Get some nice relaxed hand signals and
fantastic.
But one of the things Chris mentioned, and he mentioned it a couple of slides ago, but it's again, this is what we love working with Wendy Wu for one reason. It's all the attention to detail. It's taking them to those little places that tourists might necessarily miss if you were just doing it off your own back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a money can't buy experience. No. So you get to see it through a local's eyes. So that's one of the things that I do love. So obviously we've had Chris on before, and he talked about the China tour and where they go to on the Great Wall of China, and this is very similar on this particular tour. There's specific aspects of this tour you won't get on another tour with another company?
Yeah, so basically, at the moment, obviously, the way we price our tours, everything is from Heathrow. Because if we were trying to price it from every airport in the country, we just wouldn't be able to give you an accurate price. So all of our tours are flying from Heathrow, but that doesn't mean, obviously, I know with Passion for Cruises, you fly from all over the UK, which is the beauty of Passion for Cruises. So we can fly from regional airports. So if you're up in Glasgow, we can fly from Glasgow. We can fly from Cardiff. We can fly Birmingham. The only difference would be is we'd need to look at what the connections were like and what airlines fly out from those destinations. Now, sometimes because of the costings of the flights, there may be a small supplement to fly from a different airline, to fly from a different airport. But if we have an allowance for our flights in our packages, and this is how we do it from Heathrow, if it comes within that allowance, there will be no supplement. So you could potentially fly from your local airport as long as it comes in within our allowance for our flights, then you wouldn't pay a supplement.
Just one of the things I want to emphasize, and there's a bit of a fun story, Pete, you won't know this, but the reason we've got a great relationship with Wendy Woo is not because we send many of our members on their incredible tours, but Wendy Woo's got twins. And our Luke, who works in our office, met Wendy. He's got twins, and they hit it off like a house on fire. So there you go.
Wow.
It's those incredible kind of little attention to detail, just meeting people. And that's why we've just kind of
I think that's certainly one of the
relationship.
Things. Yeah. Obviously, with Passion for Cruise, I think playing it down there, Darryl. I mean, these guys are fantastic. You know, we talk about attention to detail at Wendy Woo. The reason we work with Passion for Cruises is because their attention for detail and making sure things go right, and making sure they give the right people the right tour.
That is this incredible tour we talked about. That's painting a picture. We've painted that picture. Chris has really painted that picture beautifully. That is the incredible itinerary, folks.
Just on there, Pete, just when we're looking, I mean, I know when we talk about Vietnam, we talk about shopping. Now, just when you're in Hanoi, you can actually, you're spending 2 nights in Hanoi, and you can actually get a suit handmade, fitted, tailored, and back to you in 24 hours. So if anyone wants to buy a suit when you're there, and I think everyone does when they go to Vietnam, there you go, Pete, you can get a tailored jacket for you. Very, very good prices, and you can get it done in 24 hours, which is amazing.
Wow. So, Darryl, thank you so much. Chris, again, thank you. We really appreciate your time and painting such a wonderful picture of this absolutely fantastic tour. We really